All right, we're just getting started here. Make sure my microphone is working right. Your microphone looks really good, Tremain. Cool. This is comfortable, right?
Really,
this is a really
real
good,
nice. It's real good.
It's a good setup we have here, my man. All right. 3, 2, 1. Good evening. It's theedgeonair.com. I'm Neil Fiorito. We are live here at the Illinois Media School, the O'Hare campus. As I mentioned, I'm Neil. The guy to my left, Tremain Davidson here, one of our students at the Illinois Media School. We are shining the spotlight bright on Tremain tonight. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Neil. Glad to be here.
It's good to see you. I know you and I have been planning a show now for a couple of weeks. And, of course, I had to blow you off the 1 week. Right. Duty calls, you know. As you see, I work for WBBM News Radio. The traffic doesn't stop, right?
All right.
Good to be with you, sir. Tell me a little bit about, I find it really fascinating to hear how our students actually find our school. Just to start with me a little bit before we get to you, I talked to you about this off the air. I'm a former graduate of the Illinois Media School. I graduated from, at the time, it was the Illinois Center for Broadcasting in 1996, and that's where it all started for me. I had been doing radio previous to that since about 1991. That's when I started my career at WRRG in River Grove. Shout out, Triton College. That's where my radio career started up. And wound up getting some experience in college radio, kind of finding my personality and learning how to do things in the field. But like we talked about earlier off the air, you and I were talking about how important networking is, right? And not just with our industry, but really any industry that you go into, you know, a lot of it is who you know. And that's the fact of it all. You know, it's any job you want to get into, whether it's radio, HVAC work, an electrician, whatever the case is. I mean, you have to know what you're doing and be good at what you're doing, right?
Right. You got to know.
But a lot of it is who you know. That could really help you out in your career. So going back to me, going to the Illinois Media School, again, I had already had several years of college radio experience. Not enough by any means, but I did learn a lot on how to be on the air, you know, and how a DJ does their job on the air. I went to the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, obviously to polish up on more skills, but the main reason I went there was to connect because the internet it was just kind of getting started at that time, right? So not a lot of people knew about the internet, so you had to physically go out, you know, and meet people. That was one of the main reasons I went through the program. And like I told you off the air earlier, I had my first real commercial radio job before I even graduated, you know, in Rockford. So I had to drive 80 miles, but it's okay. It was better than going to another
close
state.
To the hometown.
Yeah. It wasn't that far from Chicago. Actually, it's funny. At the time, I lived right across the street from this building we're in now. Oh. My wife and I had an apartment just behind on the other side of the Kennedy Expressway. We had an apartment there, and I would drive 80 miles one way to Rockton. You mentioned Rockford, your hometown?
It's close to me from Beloit, yeah.
And Beloit, Wisconsin, of course.
20 miles.
Yeah, the other end of the border there. I went up going to Rockton, and like I said, I drove 80 miles one way and 80 miles home, Saturday and Sunday, because I was on the air both days, and then I worked a real job Monday through Friday. My dad had a printing company, so going back to the story of coming to a school like this, a trade school, where you get to know people and you network with people and you learn your craft and kind of hone in on your craft. That's exactly what I did. And, you know, it's been 34 years for me in the industry. I've been working for WBBM News Radio now since about 2010. I started doing traffic for WBBM just on a part-time basis. And then I was lucky and fortunate enough to go full-time doing it. Overnights is where I started. COVID, making sure they took that job away from me. COVID, there was nobody out during the night. You know, I mean, overnights are light on traffic as it is because there's a light volume out. But then you're talking about COVID where nobody's even allowed on the roads. There's no road work being done. There's nothing to talk about. So they wound up, getting that shift and just kind of doing away with it. And luckily for me, I was able to get back on my feet after doing part-time and do afternoon drives. So, yeah, 34 years in the industry for me, and it's a pleasure for me to be able to come here, pass the knowledge and pass some wisdom to our students who are going through something I went through, some years ago. So, going back to the question now, something I like to ask our students, I think it's important to find out why you're here. What brought you to the Illinois Media School? How did you hear about this phenomenal institution?
Well, to be honest, I originally came here because I had GI Bill that I need to burn. Because, if you don't use it, you lose it.
I didn't know that.
So
it's interesting. Do you have to use it by a certain
right,
time?
you have a certain time to use it, before they take it away and you don't have it.
And a GI Bill, explain to those who might not know, Tremain, is that for school mainly?
Correct. That's mainly for school. They used to have it's Chapter 33 and then the post 9/11. Most still has the Chapter 33. I think that was like 10 or 15 years that from the new start date, because they'll take, that's why I started in Chapter 33. They'll take $100 each, between $50 to $100 each pay period back in since 94 when I started in the military. And then you only have to pay it for 12 months. And then that was like your buy-in for your school.
Okay. So you pay it for the 12 months, and then once you're out of the service, you have that money to use.
Correct.
For schooling.
You can use tuition assistance while you active duty, which they'll pay, I think, 75%. I never did use the tuition assistant thing, but then, yeah, you got 75% off of that, I believe. And then you can go to school. You can take whatever classes along as GI Bill or VA approved. And it's endless to count how many schools and accept your GI Bill. So
you can go anywhere you want, though, right, Tremain?
Not anywhere, because a lot of schools or even some trade schools don't accept the VA GI Bill. Some don't. I mean, but I'll say at least
a lot of them.
I'll say about at least 96% if I got the correct number right. For most of them would. And then they also pay for your post if you want like your master's, doctorates. They'll do that as well. So I just came thinking, okay, I got to burn some stuff. So, but since being here, finding out that radio is really like my passion, like some of the instructors would say that I'll be good at talk radio. And because I grew up listening to talk radio. To
my station.
WBBM radio, I listen to a lot of talk radio, and even on Sirius XM, I'm listening, my wife, and them always be like, why? But, it's just a habit growing up, and I'm starting to like it, and like this is where another career that I can fall in line with. And
didn't you say that you did some radio stuff while you were overseas?
In Iraq and Afghanistan, AFN, I did some light work with them, and it was like, okay, this is cool. But
were you on the air at all, or?
I was on the air like twice, nothing but like a 15-minute segment, maybe 15. But that was back in, I believe it was like 2003.
But that's where you got your taste. That's where you got your feet wet, so to speak.
I got my feet wet and was like, okay, this is cool. And, it's not like everybody was listening to it. It was just on the FOBs, the forward operating bases, that was hearing it. And it just wasn't all of them. So,
are you a big fan of the movie Good Morning Vietnam?
Yes, that was Robin Williams was great in that movie. Yes,
I want to say it's based off a true story.
Correct, it is.
Yeah, that's very interesting. All right, so how do you come across the Illinois Media School? You have 96% of schools you can go to. Is it because you got the taste of radio when you were overseas that you kind of developed a passion for it and thought about it?
I can't remember exactly how I got it, but I know when I called, I spoke to Matt, and then
Matt's the man.
And then all of a sudden, I didn't show up for that meeting with Matt. So then, a few months later, I called and talked to Felicia, and then I got in. She took me around two of the facilities and told me what was going on. So I'm like, okay.
Let me guess, they signed you up the very next day.
Yep.
Was it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That seems to be how things happen around here. They get you in here. It's like buying a car. We bring you in. You ain't leaving without signing the paperwork and being part of our program here, right?
Right.
So that's cool. So going back to how did you find out about the Illinois Media School? Did you hear a commercial about us, or what brought you here?
I think I was just perusing online, and then all of a sudden it came up somehow. And then all of a sudden I just like, let me check it out.
That's awesome. So you just were looking for something to pop out at you.
Right. And
it popped out at you. Matthew got you in. That's one of our advisors here, our financial advisors. Is that the name of his position? Not financial.
So, yeah. And then because I missed Matt, I went with Felicia when I missed the appointment with Matt. So then later on, I called again and got Felicia, and then
the rest is history.
You're right. The stars aligned.
And when did you actually start the program?
April 25th.
Okay, cool. So you're still kind of a newbie. Yeah, kind of, I guess. We're in July, almost the end of July. Boy, it's going on April, May, June, 4 months for you going on. When do you graduate?
I think I graduate in October.
Okay, cool. So tell me how things have been going so far. Are you having fun with it?
I'm having fun meeting other students and the graduates, the alumni. A lot of the instructors graduated from here too, so that kind of helps a little bit,
Definitely.
because they know the landscape of everything.
Yeah,
and they work in the field. They're not just instructors; they actually working in the field, which is also amazing. Like you said earlier, networking. That's how you get, if an instructor sees that a student has the potential or talent, they kind of would use their resources and networking to try to plug them in.
That's exactly what it's about. And like I've told students in the past, I've been instructing, I think at the school now, it's been about 5 years, kind of on and off, just depending on my job with BBM, because I've changed hours a couple times and now I'm full time again. So I don't have a lot of time to commit to come to the school here, but that's the importance of, like when I tell the students and even my own kids, you want to be early. You want to arrive, like you said, you're always early. That's the way to be. If you are supposed to be here at 6 p.m., get here about 5:45. That's on time to me. Right. Now, people like me, I start at 11 and I get downtown about 10 because I have to drive between the Aurora area and downtown, so it's a long commute. And also I'm a traffic reporter, so I have no excuse of being late, right? Because I know traffic. I should be able to get around it, right? Exactly. If I need to get around something. So I stress that to our students and those of our listeners out there, our viewers watching the show now. Anything you do in life, show that you're interested and be on time, because once you start strolling in late, you're kind of telling your instructors that you can kind of take it or leave it. You don't really care either way. I mean, things happen. We all get caught up.
Life.
Your tires get flat, or you're running late for whatever reason. We all go through that, but not something to make a habit of. So that's a good way to be. So April, and you're graduating in October, so you're about kind of midway through. And what are you learning about now? What are you doing in class right now that you can share with us?
We just did a live production with Kevin's class on the different roles of producer, technical director.
Oh, okay. Director. So you're learning the roles.
Yeah, right. We learned the roles of each specific position, and then we just did our live broadcast this morning.
Oh, it was today?
Yeah.
How did it go?
It went great. It went, everybody showed up on time, knew their roles, did it. And
what was your role?
I was the floor director.
That's a tough job.
Yeah,
right?
It seems easy. It was.
Well, for you, you're a pretty big dude too, so people respect that. Like, whoa, we better watch what we're doing here. We got to stay on our toes here. Tremain's walking around and he's on the floor directing everybody. So, since you've been at the program here, what have you found that you really enjoy that maybe when you first came into the school you didn't think you'd enjoy? Is there something that stands out?
The radio portion with Double D is David Dykstra.
He was one of my students. Amazing. Shout out to David and Tyler. Buterball.
Right, Tyler too, yeah, because and Dustin.
Yeah, Dustin Rhodes.
So, and I really like their take on how the radio really works and how to operate the boards and figure it out, and with everything it goes wrong, how to troubleshoot it. So yeah, I mean they've been amazing instructors. Well, all the instructors here is really amazing because they want to see everybody succeed and possibly get a position in the field.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Dustin, he's been at the Score for many years, Dustin Rhodes, and Double D and Tyler, I think it was around 2020, they were my students in class, and the way they've come so far 5 years later, they have their own show, Blow the Whistle, which they've been doing for a long time now, and they're going to be doing some stuff on Sonar's radio station, WRMN, out of Elgin. They're going to be doing a show. So yeah, I mean it's you get your start here. You start to network with all these different people, like you said, that are in the industry. Now you and I have developed relationships, and now we're able to chat. You can ring me up one day or shoot me a text. Hey Neil, I heard about this job. Can you give me a little background on it? Can you maybe put in a good word for me? That's why we're here, to help bring that next generation of broadcasters forward. So it's funny because a lot of times we go into this program, with blinders on, thinking about one thing that we really want to do. I want to do this. I got this in my head. I can't wait to do this and start this. And it turns out that you find yourself interested in something completely different. Right. There's so many avenues you can take. Even from when I graduated from the program with digital now, there's so much more that you can do in our industry. So that's cool. Can you see yourself as a floor director? I can. A military guy, a big guy. You fit the bill.
I can see it, but I'd rather stick on the radio side because I like operating the board. I like, hopefully one day be an on-air personality on talk radio. And that way, just to check it out and see where it's at.
Well, and you make sure while you're in class here, we're going to be starting up the radio station here soon. From what Sonar tells me, The Edge and Evolution Pop, and getting shows going, and to where we're hopefully running 24 hours a day with different shows of students, and our instructors, including myself, will hopefully do a show too. So it'll be fun. It'll be, run like a real radio station, and that's good experience, for all of us to be able to come in and do stuff like that. So we're going to be taking a break here. Again, we are reporting. I'm in my traffic reporter mode right now. We're actually here live, just chatting, just talking it up. It's Neil Fiorito. That's me. That's Tremain Davidson, one of our students here at the Illinois Media School. We are shining the spotlight on him this evening, and we are going to be talking about more about him coming up. Obviously, he was in the service, and we want to kind of dive in a little bit to how the beginning started and the dreaded boot camp, and how I got a question about boot camp too. I got an important question for you that's going to be coming up here in a few minutes. Again, Neil Fiorito, it's a Tremain Davidson. We are live here in The Edge. That's our studios here. You can find us on YouTube at theedgeonair.com and follow along with the program. Enjoy what you're hearing, and shoot us a comment, give us a thumbs up or whatever. You could give us a thumbs down too. We could take it. We got thick skin. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. The Edge, live here at the Illinois Media School O'Hare campus. Be right back. Turn the mics off. Good evening, everyone. Live here at the Illinois Media School. We are in The Edge on air.com is where you can find us on YouTube. We are The Edge, the Illinois Media School, the O'Hare campus. I'm Neil Fiorito with one of our students, Tremain Davidson. We're talking about him, getting to know him a little bit, and kind of delving into his background a little bit. And thank you, first of all, for your service.
Appreciate that.
We appreciate that. My father's a Vietnam vet. I wear the Go Army, little Army Strong wristband there in honor of my dad, who's still with us, but I wear it in honor of him and, of course, all of our military folks who fight for us each and every day. So thank you for that. Talking about the beginning, and the beginning is always scary because it's boot camp. It's not something that's easy, right?
Right. It's not easy.
And I want to ask you this question because I think a lot of people might wonder this, and I don't know if you know why, but why is it called boot camp?
I done heard so many different explanations.
Tell us a good story as to what.
But
while you're doing that, I'm going to look it up. Live here on the air.
Yeah,
folks.
they said so many different ones, so it's kind of hard to keep up with what all.
What have you heard?
I heard it because you wear boots, and you wear different type of boots. I guess, okay. Especially in the Vietnam era, they wore jungle boots and combat boots, and they had to get like 3 or 4 pairs or something like that. I don't know. It was one of them old salty dogs that told us this, so I was like, okay,
you
whatever.
Just kind of went along with it?
I went along because, in the Marines, they call it basic training. Only it's boot camp in Navy, Army, and I think Air Force starting to call it something different, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so it is a little bit different. All of the let's see. This is basic training camp for new recruits. Yeah, it doesn't really give a good explanation, but what you have said, basically about that comes from the boots, or said to be a boot is slang for recruit. Oh, that's something new. I didn't, but boots, wearing boots. Recruit. Okay, well, it all kind of makes sense.
Because, a boot is supposed to symbolize like new birth or new growth or something crazy or goofy like that.
It's interesting because, I always kind of wondered, and I never even really thought to ask my dad about this, but okay, interesting. But boot camp is, again, not something you kind of laugh at and have a good time with, like we're having a good time with it because we're not in it. You were in it. I was never in it. Tell us about boot camp. How did that go for you, and how long do you go through that?
Well, I started out as a Marine, so I went to Marine Basic in San Diego. Right after when you go to MEPS for that second time, because you stay overnight, because then that's when they ship you out. So I had to fly to San Diego, California, to MCRD. And because I had a choice to choose between San Diego or Parris Island, because my dad was previously a Marine. So he told me to go become a Hollywood Marine. So I went to San Diego because Parris Island, like you said, I probably wouldn't have made it because it was, they'll kick your head in over there, and it's in swamps and in South Carolina.
Who wants to be a part of that?
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was in San Diego, we got there. Everything was all cool and fun. You get off the plane, they got drill instructors waiting on you. Then you get on the bus. But the funny thing is, San Diego, the MCRD it runs right along parallel to the airport. So the base is like right behind the airport, and you can see the planes taking off and doing all this other stuff. So we got on the bus. Then when we got to the base, they had yellow footprints. So, they talking nice to you. Wow. Everybody get on, pick a footprint. So you standing on these footprints. And then once that last recruit get on the footprints, then they flip a switch and they yelling, getting in your face, saying all kind of obscene language at you. And they done, after they was being nice. Now they being... real, and everybody, some people's like, shell shocked. But I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I come from a household that that is stern and get in you when you do something wrong. So sometimes the yelling and screaming, it was just like, whatever. And so from the yellow footprints, they taking you through all these different stages. Like, you got to get your hair cut. You got to go through getting all your uniforms and everything. Because once you get your uniform, because that's the first thing you get, they make sure you get your uniforms. Then you go back to these, we had Quonset huts. You know, what a Quonset hut is basically like when you go camping, like Boy Scouts, you know, one of those type deal. That's a Quonset hut. So
is it like a tent?
No, it's not a tent. It's a building. It's like a half circle shaped building. Okay. So we get in there, you get a bunk. You either take the top or the bottom. Your battle buddy will take the other one. You got have 2 foot lockers on the end. It's dress right, dress covered down. You put all your stuff in there. You change into PTs, which physical training uniform, which is just shorts and a shirt. And then after that, you form outside. They yelling and screaming at you. You running out there. Y'all took too long. Get down in the front, lean and rest, which basically is a push up. So you get there and then you gotta sound off. It gets real. You know, I can laugh at it now, but back then you get frustrated and irritated. You get ready to fight. Honestly, you be ready. And
that's part of the training. I would think, part of the
training. They break you down. Basic and boot camp is designed to strip you of, like they say, your worldly ways of what you was doing back home, and take all that away from you. It's like a house. You know, you got a foundation you build up. So what they doing is building you up, I guess the military way, giving you discipline, structure, because everything is structured in time. You go to the chow hall at this time and you only got a certain amount of time to eat. And then you go from there. Then you start going to your little training or whatever's going on for that day. Then by the time you get back to get sleep, take a shower, it's like, because lights out is automatically out at 2200, which is 10 o'clock. Lights is out. So you don't have to go to sleep, but you have to 90%, be in your bunk and ready. You got to be in your bunk, and pretty much, you talking with everybody, and then you have fire watch or fire guard, which everybody takes turns, and basically, it's to prevent somebody from killing themselves. That's what they say, suicide, but. They tell you a whole bunch of different stuff, but we have that, and you might have different, because it's around the clock until you wake up, because we got to get up about 4:45. Now, how do they wake you up? Does an alarm wake you up, or they come in there with the garbage cans and the lids? Some I guess battalions did that, but the drill instructor would come in yelling and screaming and kicking over stuff. That's how they wake you up? That's how you get woke up. Or the fire watch will wake you up slow, and then you get up, you have groggy, you got to hurry up. Sometimes they give you 45 seconds in the latrine, the bathroom. You got to hurry up and do that and get out there for reveille, and because at 0500, you salute the flag. Wow. Do that. Yeah. So we do that, and that's cool. That's pretty straight. Yeah. But so what happens after 5 then? Then after 5, you march to the dining facility for breakfast, and sometimes that gets tricky because if the guide, which is supposed to be like the leader of the platoon, and if we piss him off, he'll just go in there and eat an apple or an orange, and once he's done eating, because he's the last one to eat in line. So if we like pissing him off or did something to him, anybody, they'll be dirty and just go get an apple or orange, and sometimes they'll just take a few bites, throw it away, and we gotta leave, and you just got your tray. Wow. And you trying to eat while you going to throw it away, but that's a problem. And then you go out there, and they'll tell you to take a canteen, because we have back then we had 2 canteens they filled with water. And the drill instructors would have everybody in formation, and they'll tell you to drink. So you'd have to take your canteen and you have to literally kind of like, a college frat boy drinking, chugging a beer.
Yeah.
So you sitting there drinking and you got to drink it all. And then they tell you to tip it up so that no drop of water will fall out. So if a drop of water fall out, it's over. The whole platoon is getting dealt with.
Oh no.
And and sometimes drinking all that water, and then they might make you drink the second canteen too, and then how if you drink too much liquids, and then you trying to walk or run, how that and then plus in San Diego it was hot. So I mean it was a little grueling, and sometimes I ain't gonna lie, a lot of us wanted to figure out a way to
escape,
attack. Not necessarily attack, but you had some that do try to leave, but we wanted to attack our drill instructors. Like really wanted to.
Yeah. We
had some big dudes in our platoon, and we was like, all right, you grab him when he come in, but that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And it just, and then the shower situation isn't cool either, because sometimes you only get like 30 seconds to get in there and get out. And 30 seconds ain't enough time to that's just enough time to hit the hot spots.
Yeah.
And get out.
Wow. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine living I just can't imagine going through something that.
It was a little grueling, like I said, but it all made sense toward you because it had phases. The beginning phase, when you just learning the military, you got different classes, which they keep you up for 96 hours first. And then, people were starting to doze off, and they'll tell you if your buddy doze off, slap him upside the back of the head. And, that was a fun thing because, I used to get slapped pretty hard by a lot of people that was on my left and right and sometimes behind me, because you can get away with just literally hitting somebody in the back of the head. And it was like, it'll keep you up, or they tell you to get up and stand up, go to the side and stand up. But we had a couple jokesters that was literally snoring. And, when one messes up, we all have to pay for that. But then when we get back into the Quonset hut later that evening, we make sure we give it to them afterwards. If we get smoked, we're going to get it to you back later on.
And how long does boot camp go for, Tremain?
Boot camp was 13 weeks.
Wow.
And it don't get fun really until like your last 3 weeks, because they always used to say, I got 60 days in a wake up, because when you wake up, that's graduation day, and your family comes and all that other stuff. You find out where you going for T school. Kind of, but it wasn't that drastic.
Oh, we're talking about
Full Metal Jacket. That was one of my favorite.
I was going to ask you. That's a question I wanted to ask you. That's funny you guys brought that up. I've asked my dad this too. What the closest movie that he has seen that reminds him of being in Vietnam? What movie comes close to? He did like Platoon, but Hamburger Hill, he's a big fan.
Hamburger Hill was good. That Hamburger Hill actually was the closest,
I think, so my dad
to
said
Vietnam,
too.
But it also was relevant to going into like Bosnia, because I've been there, Iraq, Afghanistan. It's kind of like similar to that, but obviously modern technology, you get a little more. They teach you how to dig foxholes and probe for mines and do all this other crazy stuff like they did in Vietnam. But everything changes. The technology, the war landscape is changing, because now we're not really fighting in jungles, we're fighting in urban terrain. So they had to change that type of training for us.
So once you get toward the end of boot camp, do the sergeants, the people who are tough on you, start to come around a little bit and kind of be a little more friendly with you? And
well, they're actually more friendly with you on the second phase when you go to the range. When you're learning, like, for qualification, range qual, they cool with you then, because obviously you actually got live rounds. And we heard stories in the past that some recruits have tried to takeout instructor. Right?
Yeah.
They try to, but I mean, and those are the ones, because we had a few in our platoon that was a little suspect, because they would cry every night. They would say, well, my mom and dad never yelled at me or said these bad things to me, and they'll break down and be in the shower or the stall in the bathroom crying, and they couldn't take it no more. And it's a lot of them that wash out couldn't take it, because mentally it is, they play with your head. I mean, and you just got to know how to block them out. And just be like, this don't last forever. Like I said, 13 weeks. I mean, it's done. It's over. We ain't got to worry about that. That's how a lot of us, you form a tight bond, because we're not the only ones going through it. You going through it, you going through it. So
that's interesting. I'll be honest with you, Tremain. I give you a lot of credit. You and other, my father and all of our other friends, family, and people who have gone through wars and been in the service. I couldn't. I don't think I could.
Right.
I don't think I could do it, man.
Everybody's experience is kind of different, but you went through the same thing. And, like I said, it's mentally, you might not be able to handle it mentally, and it happens too when later on when you get into a unit and you deploy, a lot of them don't really have that mentality or fortitude to take that. So they break down. Yeah. I mean, and that's why suicide in the military is high, because I think it's 1 out of every 3. It's, if I'm not mistaken, the number, but
wow, because
of the regiment and what you go through. Because even in your duty assignment, where normally your job, you might work 12, 18 hours, and then out in the field, you pretty much on the clock or overseas deployed 24/7. I mean, it's not like, you get rest time, but it's not like, you come home, you work 8-10 hours here, you go back home, you can kick your feet up, have a beer, relax, do all this other good stuff. There, you were in that mode, especially when you're deployed 24/7. Because even if you're in the tent, things can still go off, even if it's your downtime, which might not be really downtime. But when that horn goes off, the incoming's coming. See, you always got to be on high alert 24/7, and you'll be over there for a year, maybe a year and a half or some. And that's when, that's why we have a lot of service members that have mental health issues, PTSD.
Yeah. My father suffers from it still.
Right. Yeah. And it, like Agent Orange for Vietnam.
Yeah. Well, a quick story, and then we're going to be taking a break here in just a moment. I wanted to ask you too. We'll go into the story when we get back. It's something that my dad learned about before going into Vietnam when it comes to snakes. So if you're not into snakes, you might not want to tune in for this next segment, but we'll be talking about that in a few minutes. And I also want to go over life after and how you get back into being a regular citizen again, and maybe some ways to cope, for people who are struggling with issues following being at war, just in the service. But how long was your career in the service?
I was 22 and a half years.
Wow. Well, thank you again, Tremain, for your service, sir. I'll shake your hand. Thank you, my man. Neil Fiorito, Tremain Davidson, we salute him. We are live here at the Illinois Media School, the O'Hare campus, live here in the Edge. You can catch us on the edgeonair.com. Did I say that right? edgeonair.com. Well, it's on YouTube. Watching us streaming is at the Edge on Air. So we'll be back in a few minutes to discuss further the career and the after career of Tremain Davidson here on the Edge. Talk to you in a few. Turn these mics off. Oh, good evening. We're back, friends, here live at the Illinois Media School, O'Hare campus. This is The Edge. You can find us on YouTube at The Edge on Air. And I'm Neil Fiorito with one of our students today, and that is Tremain Davidson. And we're talking about your career in the military. And you explained to us what you went through at boot camp and kind of how all that all went. And you had your 22-and-a-half-year career in the service. And again, we thank you for that, sir. Tell me about, once it was all said and done, Tremain, how did that go for you coming home and transitioning into a trained fighter, really, to coming home and being a husband again, a son, a brother, a friend? How did that all work out for you, the transition, getting back to real life?
Well, transition wasn't really hard for me like it is for a lot of other service members, because sometimes you will treat it as a job and not a way of life. If you treat it like a job that, is hard to get fired from and you wear funny clothes, basically, you'll have a better time than most that treat it like a way of life. Because those that treat it like a way of life, when they get out, because everything is regimented, PT, doing all this, they're lost because they don't have that structure anymore. They don't have nobody telling them, hey, you got to be in formation at 0900. Lunch is from 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
You have 30 seconds to take a shower.
Well, that's during the basic, but when you get to the regular unit, it's still regimented, but you have time. You can live off base with your family, or you can stay in the barracks. The DFAC still stays open. Some bases got a 24-hour DFAC, some don't. You still get 3 meals. Like the old saying goes, you get 3 meals in the cot. But they come out, and they don't have, that's why they used to always say those E6 and above, and some E5s, when they get out, within 6 months, they either have a heart attack, stroke, or get into a depression because they don't have that same structure. Those are and it hits a lot of us, because you're so used to, because I used to always get up, and sometimes that's like sleeping habits is messed up because of what you do in the service. And plus, if you went overseas, your habits is going to be off. And it affects everybody differently. But they transition you now by helping you get job ready. They have job fairs on base, so you can help you with your resumes and all this other good stuff to help you transition. But it's still a lot that they don't help us with. The VA is doing the best that it can, but with all the budget cuts and they taking away nurses, the healthcare professionals, it's kind of like you trying like 1,000 with only 3 mental health professionals. Somebody's going to get overlooked. And it's because we all suffer from, I don't care what service you in, and if you've been overseas or not, it bothers them. And when you transition out, you lost that structure, and that's what breaks people down, because they don't have, and then they feel they don't have nowhere to go, nowhere to turn to. So, and then a lot of them go to school to try to do, but then they have problems in school because now you sitting in a classroom with a bunch of tweens, 18, 19-year-olds, and here you like 21 to 40, or some even older, 50. And, they looking at you and you looking at them, and it kind of messes you up too, because it's like, these are my sons or grandkids, and you sitting in class with them, and overall, like, to have a better transition, I think they need to have more mental health professionals to make that like a mandatory thing, because I seen a lot of my battle buddies, they didn't get that, or they act like, tough guy, I don't need this. But then after being out at home 5 to 10 years, you can see not only their body breaking down, but their mind mentally is broke down, and that's when they have the high divorce rates. You know, they end up beating their kids or doing something crazy and stupid because they failed to get the necessary help that they need to help them transition.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, because I had a lot of soldiers when we got back from deployment, you know, their wives or girlfriends or whoever was doing most of the carrying the load while they was gone, you know, taking care of the kids, paying all the bills, doing all the necessary stuff. And then when they come back, they want to just step into that role instantly. Like, okay, I'm back now. This is me. This is all, you know, and that causes problems and friction. And if the family falls apart, you know, they don't really, I mean, now they do a little bit more to try to keep the family unit together, but they're not doing enough.
Was it an easy transition for you coming back?
For me coming back, like I said, it wasn't easy, but like I said, I treated it like a job that you can't get fired from. And that's how, when I got out, it was a little struggle, you know, because like I said, I still wake up 5, 6 in the morning. I don't have to do PT no more. Or do all that. I don't, you know, I'm not forced to, but you know, I can eat when I want to eat. I can go where I want to go.
You can stay in the bathroom for hours at a time.
I can sit in the bathroom, sit in the bathtub, sit in the shower, do whatever. I ain't got to worry about all that. I ain't got to worry about, hey, you got to get to work at this time. If you don't show up at this time, you got some problems, you know, because they got punishment when you don't. You know, it's called Uniform Code of Military Justice. And like, if you come late a lot of times, or you do certain things like a DUI and all this other stuff, you can face UCMJ action, and your fate lies within the commander. He can demote you, take money. And, you know, I remember my sergeant major used to tell me, you're not a good soldier until you have 2 Article 15s, which is part of the UCMJ. And I had 2. I got 2 of them. So I used to be like, man, I'm a good soldier. But I got mine because, I mean, I was a good worker, soldier, but, you know, certain, like a lieutenant would say some off the wall stuff, and I'll be like, I ain't gonna let this butter bar that just graduated from college, you know, 21, 22 years old, try to tell me, you know. So I had words with him. And then, you know, when I faced the commander, you know, I take responsibility for what I did, and I didn't have because I worked, and I had a platoon sergeant and everybody else backing me, so I would just get like 15 days extra duty and 15 days restriction. But extra duty and restriction is like, you go to your work, you do your job, then everybody else get to go home or do whatever, but you got to check in from 4 o'clock on to 2300, 4 to 11 o'clock, and you got to check in every other hour. And that's kind of crazy, especially on the weekend. It starts at 10 o'clock. And then, you know, why everybody, and I used to get mine during summer. I don't know why. It's just, I always got mine during summer, and everybody be at the gazebo cooking out, playing ball, talking about, hey, we going to Myrtle Beach and all that. Now I'm stuck for 15 days, extra duty and restriction, wearing the uniform. I can't do nothing.
Right.
I was like, man, this sucks. You know, why can't I get it in December or something?
Yeah, right.
So I have an excuse not to go home.
Right.
But I used to always get it during the summer, and it just like, wow.
Now, when you came back and you finished up your time, what was your first job? Like, when you came back, what'd you wind up doing?
I can't remember what my first. I was at Kohl's department store, loss prevention.
Oh, okay. And do you still work in that kind of realm now?
No, I didn't like it. I didn't really, you know, I didn't like that. Maybe it was because of the coworkers, but I just didn't feel at home, comfortable. I just was like, forget this.
So what have you done since then? Like, what has been your main? When did you finish? When did you finish?
I retired out in
tour
2012.
Okay, so you've just been kind of doing odds and ends,
sitting on my tail, raising my family.
Now you're going to be a radio The next
Correct.
Howard Stern is what you're going to be next.
Hey, I hope so. That'll be nice.
Have you watched Private Parts yet?
Yeah, Howard Stern, Karen Hunter,
Yeah.
Clay Kane. I can't remember the on-air personality for WBBM that my dad used to always listen to, but he's probably retired by now.
Yeah.
But I would hope so.
Was it in the morning? Do you remember?
He listened to it around the clock.
Okay.
Every time in his truck, he would play it, and we had to hear it. Sometimes back growing up, I would have my Sony Walkman. I'm just like, okay, whatever. You listen to that, I'm gonna listen to this, and while we going places. So
And now it's the opposite. You're listening
now
to
I
BBM,
grew up in
right?
it all the time. I
Yeah.
listen to anything talk radio pretty much. I don't know why. It just ingrained.
I
in me.
enjoy it too. Talk radio is fun. It's a good gig, and it's interesting to get different perspectives. Like we talked about tonight, talk radio with you has been phenomenal. We've learned a lot about Tremain Davidson tonight, why he came to the school. He served our country 22 and a half years. He spent serving our country. So thank you again for your service, Tremain, and thank you for spending time tonight and kind of. Hope was that a little therapeutic for you too to get some things out there, right?
Good, you're right.
It's a
It
good
was
thing, right?
therapeutic
We might have to
there.
have another show or two.
Right.
It's been a good time, and again, thank you for your
thank
service,
you.
Tremain. Tremain Davidson, Neil Fiorito. We are here in the Edge Studios. We are live at the Illinois Media School, the O'Hare campus, and now it's time to say good night. Yeah, look at me running everything. Look at you. Be proud of me, bud.
I am. I'm having a moment. I'm like,
Proud of me, bro. Turn these microphones around.